Okay, let's go ahead and learn how to reduce this fraction. Reducing fractions or simplifying fractions is a key fundamental skill in math. You absolutely need to know how to do it. So if you're a little bit shaky on this or just confused in general, just stick around and I will help you out big time. Okay, this doesn't have to be any more complicated than if you think it's complicated. All right, just relax. I'm going to show you how to do this, no problem. But before we get to that, let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of TabletClass Math. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher, and over many years, I've constructed a ton of online math courses. Okay, it's literally taken me years and years. Matter of fact, over a decade. So I have a massive math library, complete full instruction, tons of solved problems. So if you're in the middle or high school math, or even beyond range, and you're in a particular course, I'm going to leave a link to my Math Help program in the description of this video. You can check that out if you like. So again, whether you need to take a full math class or you need help with your current math class, my program can help you out. Also, I offer notes, super comprehensive notes at the pre-algebra, algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, trigonometry levels. So with this kind of stuff, this would be more basic level math, more like pre-algebra if that's what you're kind of working on. But you can find a link to those in the description as well, or underneath this video, I believe. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into this problem. Now, why do we want to reduce fractions? Let's just start from the beginning. Okay, well, let's just scoot this guy over, and let's make sure you understand this whole idea of reducing fractions. Well, let me ask you, what would be easier to write? Okay, would this be easier to carry around in your pocket, or would this be easier? Okay, so obviously 5,000 over 10,000, this is the same as this, but we don't want to be writing this thing around. Or like, what's like, hey, listen, this is like a big pain to write, right? It took me a little bit of, I'd rather have this, right? So in mathematics, we always want to write things in their simplest form. Now, oftentimes students think to themselves that it's optional. In other words, like, oh, well, as long as I got the value right, as long as I got the problem right, it doesn't make a difference because this is equal to this. Technically, yes, they are equivalent to one another. But hey, if this is equal to this, then you should accept this and give me full credit. But guess what? If the answer is 1/2 and you gave me this answer, I would take off a few points. I'm sorry to say, most math teachers would, and you might be a little bit sad about that, right? So we want to avoid that situation and make sure you can simplify or reduce fractions. Those words are interchangeable, okay? Reducing and simplifying. So we're simplifying fractions, okay? It's the same thing as reducing fractions. Now, the key to reducing fractions, all right, we'll start with this guy and then we'll take a look at a couple other things, is knowing how to factor, okay? We got to be able to look at the factors of numbers, okay? So let's start with that, and then we'll do this particular problem, all right? So we have 24 over 30. We'll get back to this problem in a second, but let's look at these respective numbers, 24 and 30. And let's talk about the factors of 24 and 30. Okay, so to factor a number, okay, you want to use something called a factor tree. Okay, and you could just start in any old way. Just think of any two numbers, and when you multiply these numbers together, you get to this main number, 24. Let's just go 2 times 12, right? So 2 times 12 is 24. Now you look at these numbers here, and you ask yourself, which one is prime? In other words, can I factor any more other than 1? So the 2 times 1 is 2. I'm done, but I got 12. But I'm like, yeah, I know 12 is the same thing as 6 times 2. Okay, and then, 2, I can't go any further factoring, but 6 I can write 6 as 3 times 2. All right, and then we're done because I can't factor these numbers anymore. Now, when you're done factoring, okay, a number, all right, where it's prime, okay, you can't go any further, just circle it, okay? So here I was done. I couldn't go anymore along this factor tree, right? So these are the little branches. 6, I was able to continue to break that up into 3 times 2, okay? So that means that 24 is equal to all these prime factors being multiplied by one another. So this is going to be 2 times, how many 2's do we have? 1, 2, 3. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. All right, these are all the factors. We call these the prime factors of 24. Okay, 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Okay, so let's remember that because this is going to help us out with our problem. So you need to know how to factor a number. We can't even talk about simplifying or reducing until you can factor. Factoring is a huge, huge skill. Got to know it. All right, let's practice our prime factorization with 30. Okay, so 30 is what? All right, that's going to be 3 times 10. Okay, so 3, I'm done. I can't go any further. But 10, I can break that up as 2 times 5. And then these are both prime numbers here. So 30 is equal to 3 times 2 times 5. Okay, now let's go up here and back to our original problem. And let's look at this problem, but now let's express these numbers, write them in terms of their factors. So 24 is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. And 30 was the same thing as 3 times 2 times 5. Okay, so how do we now simplify or reduce this fraction? Well, the name of the game is we want to cross-cancel like factors. So in other words, if we have a factor, the same number, okay, the numerator and denominator, we can eliminate them. So for example, I have a 2 down here, okay? So that 2, I'm looking for a 2 up in my numerator. Now I have 3 2's. I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. I got 3 2's. Only have 1 2. But guess what? This 1 2 can only take out only one other 2. This 1 2 can't eliminate 3 2's. It can only take out one other 2. So I can cross cancel those guys. All right. All right. Now I have a 3 down here. I'm scanning around. I'm looking for all kinds of opportunities to eliminate 3. Oh, I got a 3 right there. So I can cross cancel those guys. And I'm left with these numbers here. Okay. So what's that? 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, and then I just have a 5 down in my numerator. So there is our answer. 24 over 30 is simplified or reduced down to 4/5. Okay, that is how we want to, that is the proper way of reducing or simplifying a fraction. Okay, you really want to be able to write each of these numbers into their prime factors. Now, how does this work in real life? Now, what am I talking about here? Real life, right? Well, I'm going to show you here, okay? There's other kind of more indirect approaches to simplifying. So let's go here, 24 over 30. All right, this is kind of even how I would do it sometimes, right? So you're like this. You're thinking, okay, 24 over 30, I got to reduce this problem. So what do you think to yourself? Let's just draw a picture of ourselves thinking. Let's say I'm thinking here. And, we're sending out these brain signals, okay? Like, what number goes into both 24 and 30? Does 2 go into both 24 and 30? You're like, yeah, 2 goes into both 24 and 30, so I can say, 24 divided by 2, I'm using my little brain power, is 12, and then 30 divided by 2 is 15, okay? So we go from here to here, okay? Because we're like, oh yeah, 2 goes into both of these numbers. But then we're like, oh, am I done? Because I just picked a number. I'm just whittling this guy down, all right? So now I'm at this stage and I'm like, okay, does 2 go into both 12 and 15? You're like, no, but how about maybe 3? Let's use a simpler number, right? Does 3 go into both 12 and 15? Oh, yeah, 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. And then clearly we're like, oh, yeah, we're done now because it's 4 over 5, right? So this is another approach that you can take, okay? You can with these basic problems, you can do this, all right? So it's good to know the divisibility rules. If a number is divisible by 3, if a number is divisible by 2, you can break it down in this manner, okay? But here's the thing. when you're in algebraic kind of situations, all right, let me just show you here. Let's say I have x squared minus 4 over x plus 2. And I'm like, oh, well, how do we go from numbers to algebra? Well, this is a fraction. Okay, this is a fraction. I want to reduce this fraction. Well, in algebra, we use basically the same concepts that we use in arithmetic. So I need to know how to factor. So this is why your factoring ability starts with numbers and it goes all the way through algebra. So x squared minus 4, I can factor this guy as x plus 2 times x minus 2. If you don't know what I'm doing, don't worry about it. I'm just making a bigger point here, right? So I have x plus 2 in the denominator, and x squared minus 4, I can write like this. If you don't know how that was done, don't worry about that. Just know that you can write x squared minus 4. This thing right here, its factors are this, okay? So I'm looking around for common factors, right? Oh, this guy and this guy, they are common factors, and I could cross cancel them, and I'm left with x minus 2, and that would be the right answer, okay? So again, knowing how to reduce, okay, by factoring and doing cross cancellation. Now, I did a video not too long ago, all right, on like I said, I think the title of the video is 99% of students make this mistake, and the mistake is something like this: x plus y over x. Okay, you see a fraction, you're like, oh, yeah, I want to cross cancel. I got like factors, boop, and you think this is y. That's incorrect, okay? Let's use numbers to make this point here better, right? So let's say I have 2 plus 3 over 2. You have a fraction, you're like, oh, I want to reduce this fraction, okay? You go like that, and you think the answer is 3. This is incorrect, okay? Because 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 halves. This is really equal to 5 halves, not 3, okay? So you can't do that because when numbers are separated by addition or subtraction, they're not factors, okay? Factors are when things are separated by multiplication. This is multiplication, and all this over here is multiplication, okay? So you don't want to confuse that. All right, so again, what's the secret sauce to factoring? Okay, well, it's your ability, to reducing or simplifying. The secret sauce is factoring. You got to know how to factor. So if you struggle, okay, if you want to do it, you need to kind of do it both ways, right? You're like, think to yourself, what number does a number go into both of these guys and these guys? You can whittle this down, and that is okay. That's kind of like how a lot of people do it. You just kind of break this down into smaller versions until you finally get your final answer. Okay, but if you really, want to master this, and you definitely want to, you got to know how to completely factor numbers into their prime factors. You list them all down, and that way you're in total control, and you eliminate everything, and you see how the mechanics really work. Okay, and that's what we're doing here. Okay, you're canceling cross factors. So this is the same thing. Okay, you just kind of do it in a kind of a more different kind of mental exercise. Okay, so if you liked this video, if you thought it was helpful to you, please consider, fully simplifying your like rating to 100% and smashing that like button. If you need more math help, if you're new to my YouTube channel, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos on my YouTube channel, various levels, basic math to more advanced math. So hopefully you'll subscribe and you'll check out my new stuff and reference. I have my videos broken up into various playlists to try to, organize things better for you. And if you really want my full, complete, best work in mathematics, then you definitely want to check out my math instruction. And of course, everybody needs good notes. If you don't have good notes, you should learn how to take good notes. Take a look at some of the videos I've done on my channel on note taking to help you out. You got to be great at taking math notes, right? The better your math notes are, the better you're going to do in math, period, point blank. But if you're kind of behind, on a course here and you just don't, you've lost a lot of your notes and you're at the pre-algebra level or beyond, then my notes are super comprehensive and they can help you out as well. Okay, so with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.